Welcome to the Toka Backstage Podcast. Join Toka's Executive Director Chris Wolf in conversations with the artists and people behind the scenes of the Torrance Cultural Arts Foundation's performances and events.
Hi, this is Chris Wolf, Executive Director of the Torrance Cultural Arts Foundation. Welcome back. We're doing our first interview for the 25-26 season about the show Synergy, and I have some great guests here. If you please would introduce yourselves. We'll start with you, Young.
All right. Yeah, my name is Young Kang. I am currently the artistic director and performing member of the Taiko ensemble UnitOne. We're based out of Torrance, so we're local to Toka, and yeah, excited to be here.
Hi, my name's Martin. I'm the artistic director and one of the co-founders of Tsuchigumo Daiko from Glasgow in Scotland. This is one of the most exciting things I've ever been part of because we look up to UnitOne as a group and they're all really good friends as well from people we've known. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this as well.
And I'm Shona. I'm one of the co-founders of Tsuchigumo Daiko and I'm Martin's wife. And yep, so this is going to be, I've been playing taiko for quite a long time, about 20 odd years. I should be better at it for that, but this is definitely going to be one of the absolute taiko career highlights for me, so I'm very excited to be joining UnitOne, both in LA and also back home as part of that collaboration. So yeah, we're so excited and can't wait for the autumn.
Wonderful. So I guess my first question is, actually I'll start with you, Young. Taiko, how do I put this? Taiko to me, and again, being a novice, having been only a person who's hit the drum a couple of times when I've been at Asano, seems to be a very ingrained in Asian culture and Japanese culture. How do you explain, or do you explain, sort of the introduction of taiko to a lot of different communities like Scotland? I never thought Scottish taiko players.
Gotcha. Let's see. Yeah, in terms of how we explain taiko, a lot of people, I think, are drawn to taiko very naturally because of kind of the simplicity of taiko itself as an instrument. It is an instrument that has a pretty low barrier to entry in terms of being able to make very exciting and loud sounds, right? And kind of get going in the first place. And then once you get into it, the depth is really endless. You can go as deep into any particular style of taiko, and it'll take your entire lifetime to master it if you can even get there. So, I think that's why so many different cultures and countries are drawn to the art form. That's my take, anyways.
And so, Martin, how did you guys get into, or how were you introduced to taiko?
So obviously there's some taiko groups in Europe, but it's still pretty much in its infancy as far as taiko is concerned across the world. There's been groups in the UK for about maybe 30 years or just over, and in Europe maybe 40 to 50 years in some cases. For me personally, I just love Japanese culture. I did Japanese martial arts when I was younger, but I was a drummer in a heavy metal band, a rock band. So the first time my lecturer showed me, it was kind of like, it felt like everything I'd done in my life was right there on the screen. You know, because I was introduced to Kodo and Onde Koza. And obviously Taiko has, as Young's alluded to, there's so many facets to it. But what I seen initially was very physical. You know, muscular men, muscular and strong women, you know, playing these amazing big drums and the energy, the power, everything. So it felt like rock music to me when I first seen it, you know, that kind of really, you know, that high energy stuff. So yeah, I was studying drums and percussion And my lecturer said, you're probably going to love this if you love Japanese culture and you love drums. So, yeah, and when I seen it, I just felt like, where's this been all my life? Like, why is no one talking about this art form? Like, why is there no one doing this? But then you find out that it is there. It's just very, very niche. Like in Europe and in Scotland especially. But we're quite lucky to have a group very close to us that we could start, and we went to do workshops there and classes, and then just became hooked immediately afterwards. So.
And Shauna, how about you? How did you?
So my route in was a little bit different. I was in high school, and I wasn't doing music at high school, so I wasn't really involved in the music department at all. And then one of the music teachers in our school had done some taiko workshops and started a little taiko group. Now, nothing like any of the school taiko groups that are in the UK now, and absolutely nothing like some of the school groups that are in the US, who are just incredible. But we started a little local taiko group. We played on floor toms from drum kits using kit sticks. But the first time that I saw that at school, and I saw it was mostly girls, standing up, being powerful, screaming at the top of their voices, that immediately spoke to me. It was immediately something that attracted me and was something that I wanted to take part in, and that got me connected with music. And I think there's something in it for everyone. So some people in our classes at home are in it because they enjoy the movement. Some people like the theatricality. Some people love the endurance. So, it really attracts endurance athletes because they love that side of things. Some people it's very meditative. Some people love the mathematics behind and the technicality behind what we're doing. So it really does attract across a broad spectrum of ages, of backgrounds, abilities, and it's certainly true in the UK and in Europe that most people are in, I think in the US the demographic is slightly different in that a lot of people play taiko because they do have their own cultural root is connected, whereas in the UK and Europe it tends to be that that's not the case, and people are attracted, and certainly in the first instance, for other reasons. So it really does speak to huge numbers of people.
I kind of have to agree with you, because for me, when I first saw taiko, I think it was the theatricality of it, and the mixture of the beat and the dance and the physicalness of it. It really is, when it's done well, like you guys do it. It's just a joy to watch, and it's I don't know, artistic. But so Young, as the artistic director of UnitOne, what was the inspiration to meld the two groups? I mean, and how did how did the little guy from Torrance meet the guys in Scotland? How did that happen?
Yeah, I'm. Let's see. I would have to give the credit to Yuta Kato, who's kind of the global matchmaker in terms of these, our taiko groups meeting together. Yuta, of course, he has kind of this global notoriety for being so close to different taiko groups around the world, really. And of course, he is one of the performing members and my mentor within Unit One. He has been very involved in developing our own show Shiki, which was a production from a couple of years back. And then Utah got to work with Tsuchigumo pretty closely, especially through their like workshops and things like that. So I think when he saw what both of us were doing and were so impressed by what Tsuchigumo was doing as a group and as individual players, I think it just made sense to kind of bring us together. And, of course, you guys know that, whenever we're in different environments or bring different people together, you come up with really great ideas and new inspirations. So I think it will be a great chance for us to develop individually as taiko players, but also as groups, and as an artistic director of our group. What an opportunity.
And so, Martin, what was when they came to you to offer or to suggest you guys coming out? What was your thought behind that?
I was shocked, to be honest. Because I think for us, this is like one of the biggest things we've ever done. And as Young's kind of detailed already, it was Yuta's kind of brainchild. So we look up, when we first met him, we were looking up to him like this, Taiko god. Like I'm sure a lot of people do when they first see him and hear it's like, because his level is so high, but then also when you meet him, he's so humble. So it feels kind of ridiculous to me that it's like, I don't think there's any other art in the world or sphere where you can meet people at the top of the game that you really look up to, and then they come and visit you and stay in your house. Like it's like if I go and see like the Rolling Stones, like I'm not going to hang out with Mick Jagger afterwards, right? It kind of feels, it felt a bit weird and really surreal, like when you see Yuta, Shoji, and all these amazing players that we see in America and in Japan, and then they come and they're always so humble and respectful and helpful, and they're always looking for ways in which they can connect you with other people, which is one of the most beautiful things about Taiko. Like people are just always looking for connection and ways to collaborate, and you find then all these little disparate groups, little pockets all over Europe and wherever else, and then they suddenly find like, oh, they've got like-minded people that are not so far away. And it's people like Yuta coming to Europe and connecting all these people, because he'll do a workshop, say, Central Europe somewhere, and all these people come and they talk, and then they get to know each other, and they start to go to each other's events and collaborate and things like that. So, yeah, it was Yuta coming over. When he said about it, I was totally blown away, because I never really thought that we would get the opportunity to play in the States, because, again, in Europe, the level is not as high as it is in the States. It looks like the groups in the States and in Japan as well, they're 10 a penny that they're all very high level professional style groups. Whereas you get, again, in Europe, you only have one or two professional groups in the entire continent that do a lot of work, that regular work. Most other groups are just recreational or community based. So yeah, the opportunity is incredible for us. And it's gonna, I keep telling our guys, it's gonna level up our playing, it's gonna level up our abilities in different ways, management, all these different things, because we've done this before as part of our touring theatre group. We've played lots of performances, Sean and I, over 500 each. So we know a lot about that, but this just feels like it's even bigger again because of the level of musician that we're collaborating with and the standard that would then be expected. Plus the fact that's kind of giving me palpitations now is that in LA there's actually a lot of taiko players there that are, amazing level. So there's probably going to be some there watching too. So it's kind of like, oh my God. So you not only have to come up to the standard of the player on the stage, but there's also going to be people watching there. So yeah, it's going to be amazing but scary.
And what's great about this show is that it's not a case of Unit 1 will play and we'll play and that'll be it. We're going to be playing on the same pieces. We've been collaborating across the internet, and so we're going to be playing styles we've not really played before. So yeah, it's incredibly exciting, and it's really going to be hopefully a real synergy, and greater. Yes, got it in there. Really greater than the sum of its parts. So we're
Well, that was sort of one of my other questions, was that you have the two groups oceans apart, but you are going to be playing on some of the same not songs, but what pieces?
Yeah.
And how does that work when you're so far apart?
Let's see. Yeah, Martin, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I can do it. I mean, it's been challenging, but again, in taiko there's a lot of common repertoire. So there's pieces they're not so much community pieces, but there's pieces that are out there that are open source that other people can learn and modify for their own purposes or whatever. So there's commonality there, and some of the styles as well, like we know some of the same things, but again, as Shona just said, we're also having to learn some new things. So yeah, there's pieces there already. So and there's also resources available for that. But for the things that we're doing that are kind of new to both of us, like our own compositions, it's simply been a case of like going backwards and forwards with videos and information. I'm still a little bit behind, sorry, on videos, but we're doing that this weekend. We're finalised everything this weekend. But yeah, it's been just trying to collate information and have it available on like a drive, that kind of thing, simple as that. And then going in and working away on it, and then coming back with questions. So we've hit Utah and Young up with a lot of questions about things as we've been going through them. But yeah, that's kind of how the process is working so far.
So it's been really interesting because it's meaning that quite often what we're having to do is members of our groups, even with pieces that we know already, that are ours or that we're quite familiar with, we're then having to learn other parts so that we can demonstrate it, so that we can show our collaborators parts, which is stretching our own thing. But also the problem when you have a bunch of creatives together going through material like that is then they go, what would be great is if we did this at this part. Let's change that up. So yes, Martin, we've got there. There's a piece where we've already got video material between us to look at. But then a few weeks ago, Young sent us a video of a totally different arrangement of it with completely different moves. So we were like, yep, okay, let's okay. So it's great, and it's something that I think we would really struggle to do without the internet, and being able to share videos so freely and be able to contact each other so freely. But the challenge there is that it means that the creative minds are constantly going and they constantly want to make little updates and make little changes, which is brilliant, and it's bringing some real incredible new life to even some of our older material that we're bringing along. And bringing new parts, new layers, but it does mean that the whole thing it's all moving parts. There's nothing yet, there's nothing that's completely fixed that this is exactly what we're going to be doing. And we'll have final rehearsals in LA before the show, when we'll be putting an embargo on last minute changes.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I've been working on songs that we've had for a number of years, and this collaboration has basically given them new life. There was things that I couldn't do because we never had the membership, we didn't have enough people, or we didn't have the kind of skill level. So now I've been able to sort of add those things in, and I've just envisioned UnitOne members like playing those parts. So yeah, I've been making videos all this week to show. So the last one I did had hi-hats, percussion, and then a foot bell, and then some drumming that I had to jump between the sections because I had to try and learn them all to try and play. So it's like a one-man band over here.
So this really is a true collaboration where everyone is pitching in ideas with the different pieces, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it's funny, Martin, you mentioned, all the back and forth and things like that, because when you guys of course, we have our UnitOne pieces, and then Tsuchigumo had you guys have your own pieces, and then we'll exchange ideas. But in that exchange of ideas, we'll come up with, oh, like what if we change this part slightly, that based on the questions or feedback and things like that. So it truly has been a two-way street. And like Shana, what you were saying, we'll eventually have to put a stop to this and actually settle on something. But yeah, I think when we have that in-person rehearsal that week prior to the show, I think that's when things will really gel and become a cohesive show. And until then, we'll keep coming up with great ideas. And
so UnitOne is the performance group for Asano Taiko, or just the performance group. I know there's also Unit2, but UnitOne is sort of your professional showcase group, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, UnitOne is the professional taiko ensemble under the umbrella of Asano Taiko U.S., which also houses the Los Angeles Taiko Institute, where a lot of our performing members are teachers, instructors there. Yeah, that's right.
One question I did have about the style of taiko, because I do know that again, my limited knowledge is that I believe there are different styles of taiko. Do and forgive me, this is a really stupid question, but do the styles change from location? Like, is Unit One style different from the Scotland style?
That's actually a really great question. Different taiko groups obviously play very differently because of where they learn to play taiko and things like that. There are certainly styles, even when you look at styles in Japan, um, different taiko different regions in Japan will develop their own styles of taiko, and they would be known for that. That region will be known for that style of taiko as well, even within Japan, right? And in LA, in particular, there's so many different groups in LA, which is truly a blessing. But it also means that different groups develop their own quirks even and little styles and depending on what kind of repertoire they play as well. So yeah, it truly can vary a lot. And that can provide some challenges when you're putting together a group or a show that involves a lot of different people from different styles to try and put together a cohesive set, if you will. And I'm sure as we collaborate with Tsuchigumo, we'll find our kind of differences in style and things like that. But in this case, rather than trying to make everything into a homogeneous soup, we'll kind of celebrate our differences and see where we can make things pop.
And I've noticed too, like for drummers, it's interesting because we had a group. It, it was a rock group, Lords of 52nd Street, which was actually Billy Joel's original band when he was coming up in the 70s. And the drummer, Liberty DeVito, was there, and he played on Billy Joel's like The Stranger and 52nd Street. And he goes, "Yeah, it's the New York style of drumming." And I'm like, "Is there a New York style of drumming?" But watching him versus, I don't know, Foo Fighters or whatever, it really does. You feel the difference, but I couldn't tell you what the difference was.
Gotcha. And yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And, modern taiko, I say modern taiko because this kind of ensemble performance-based taiko is a relatively new art form. And it does draw inspiration from different types of music like rock and roll and jazz, etc. So depending on what background you come from, like Martin, if you come from heavy metal based drumming, then you're gonna draw inspiration from there as well as other sources, right? Whereas groups like On Ensemble, which is also an LA based group, will have their own sets of inspirations that really make it their own color. So yeah, I see what you're saying.
Do you? That's a good question, Martin. Coming from heavy metal, do you see your playing different than another group?
Yeah, I think as Young said, that it usually comes from who taught you. First and foremost, like that's where you're going to get your kind of principles from. But then over time, you can like we've developed our own based on multiple sources. So we were given a start in how to play, and then the more exposure we got to different teachers, different styles, then I kind of looked at it a little bit like Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do, where he basically went around everything and just kind of went, okay, I like this, I'm going to disregard that, disregard this. And he found his own method that worked for him. And then when he taught those principles, people weren't being him. They were just following principles, and then they ended up kind of looking like them, but they were finding their own way to get there using those ideas. So I think across the groups, there's probably principles and ideas and concepts that are very similar. Like you can go into minute detail about how you grip your sticks, where to hold, how far up the stick, all these different things. But there's probably crossover in those principles. and how you would strike, if it's going to be a straight line or a curved line or whatever it's going to be. So I think there's a lot of commonality there in how we do it and how we want to use our body when we play. You'll see some performers where they don't use their lower body so much, or ones that you really use their lower body and barely use their upper body a little bit. So, so again, it's all very different, but yeah, I found a lot of inspiration from different places. But for me, the first thing I wanted to sort of integrate into Tsuchigumo style was energy and life and just joy. That kind of expression of just, being alive and having fun and playing with your friends. Because that's what it is for us. Like, we're on a stage, but we're on a stage with our best friends, And then when we come to LA, we're getting to visit some people we really love and admire. And it's just going to be an amazing experience. So why would you not enjoy that? So, that was the first thing for us. The technical details, all these small things, I don't think ultimately they don't really matter so much, as long as the feeling and the sort of the idea, the concept is the same. Each group will find their own way of promoting that, but I'll end up looking very similar to the audience because the intention behind it is the same. So I think that's where we'll probably match pretty well in that respect.
Awesome. And Shana, is there for you, do you have a history of performance in music, or are you is taiko your one instrument?
Taiko is my one instrument, although I do a mean karaoke. Yeah, so I have no music, like traditional Western musical training. Don't play the flute like a lot of taiko players do. So for me, in some ways, so there's some things that make some aspects of taiko more challenging, but there's also some things that make it more accessible. And taiko, again, there's an accessibility to it, and there's ways of learning things and picking things up and composing things in a very very accessible manner, but also it's another way of stretching me and my sort of mental ability as well. I still think about when I sort of first started playing taiko, the rhythms and things like that were much simpler. And actually, by one teacher, I was told that we didn't do certain things in taiko. That's not taiko. Whereas the taiko that we play now has inspiration from all over, and taiko always has. There's aspects of taiko that have come through other countries as well. That when you see kodo playing, some of the instruments they're playing have evolved through Korean lineage, through Indian lineage. It's not. It's by its nature, it's a folk art and it evolves. And I've totally forgotten what I was answering. music. So when I first started playing taiko, it was the rhythms and things that I was exposed to were what we would maybe now say simple, and there was some things that people that I played with originally considered that this was taiko and this wasn't taiko. But the style that Tsuchigumo play now, and a lot of what UnitOne does also, doesn't see things like that. It draws inspiration from other cultures. It draws inspiration from funk, from soul, from metal. There's rudiments and things in there that you might not see in other styles of taiko. So I think that's been something that has really broadened my horizons and really helped my musical development as a non-musician who plays taiko.
Well, and it's like you said earlier, Young, that the entry level to taiko really is. I mean, you don't have to necessarily know how to read music or anything like that. It's just the understanding of the instrument, I think, is what's important, right?
Yeah, that's right. And unlike some of the most successful violinists who start at the age of 4 or 5 in order to become maestros by the time they're what, like 17, 18. Like I wasn't exposed to taiko until I was in college, right? And that's actually a pretty common occurrence for a lot of the professional taiko players, at least within the States. And that's when they first get exposed to the art form and they become really successful taiko players. And yeah, it's not only the barrier to entry, but just the sheer accessibility that this community provides. Once you join a taiko group, it is a big community, but it's also a small community in that everybody kind of knows each other, even internationally, right? So yeah, it's easy to get sucked into the art form very easily. You're part of the group very easily, and yeah, it's just a good time overall.
Awesome. So just to let everyone know, the show is called Synergy. It's Saturday, September 27th at 8 o'clock and Sunday, September 28th at 1 o'clock. Very excited. We get to spend 2 days with you guys. Quick question for each of you. And we'll start with Shauna. What do you hope people walk away with after seeing this show?
I hope they walk away feeling the joy that we feel when we play together.
And Martin?
I was going to say that. Yeah, I just want people to have enjoyed the spectacle and had fun with it. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
And Young?
Yeah, I think, I mean, ditto to everything you guys said, of course. There's a lot of taiko players that will come to the show, like you guys mentioned before, right? And I'm really excited for them to listen to all of us, our both of our groups perform together and play some of music that they haven't heard before, because for a lot of them it'll be their first exposure to Tsuchigumo as a group. So I'm really excited to perform with Tsuchigumo and make this show come alive.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it and we can't wait to see you. So thank you guys so much for your time. We do appreciate it.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you.
Yeah.